But everybody, thank you so much for jumping on with me tonight for Nighttime Tea. We're going to be talking about a topic, really a form submission that I had. I've shared it on my social media, had a lot of people get to interact with it, and I'm not going to read it word for word. I'm just going to kind of paraphrase, and it went something like this. I've been with my husband for about 5 years, married 2, and I have never received flowers from him except for once, and that's when I asked him specifically, hey, I would really love flowers. I also told him that I've never gotten flowers from any of my past relationships, boyfriends, or anything like that. The only person who's ever gotten me flowers was my dad. So once I told him this, he got me flowers, but since then, nothing. So I look around at my girlfriends who are in relationships, who are married, and they're getting flowers, and I bring this up to my husband, and he says, you should be lucky that I'm paying the majority of the bills and your telephone bill. I was like, whew, all right. But she looked at her friends who are in relationships and their husbands are sole providers and giving flowers at the same time. So she's kind of feeling a little bit hard done by. She's, like, hey, am I making too much out of this? Am I, going over the top here? Are my expectations out of whack or anything like that? So just kind of wanted to talk about that because I posted it onto my social media, and Of course, ladies jumped in on this. Your husband should be doing this. Yes, you're able to go buy your own flowers, but it's not even about the flowers, or is it? And then the guys were like, there's so many other things, or I'm super busy. Like, yeah, let her just go buy her own flowers. Like, what's the big deal? The consensus pretty much is, it's not even so much about the flowers. It's really what the flowers represent. And, they don't even have to be flowers that you buy. I'll backstory this just a little bit. My wife, Diana, loves flowers. If anybody knows me really well, knows mine and Diana's relationship really well, I rarely buy them for her, even though she loves them. Couple reasons. I feel that flowers purchased just randomly, like at a grocery store, they're not that special. Sure, they can represent that you're thinking about your partner while you're out and about. 100% get that. Yes, absolutely get that. I like to go and pick my own flowers. I have a spot, I go pick them. I do this about 4 or 5 times a year. I think it's more special that way. She loves them. They're unique. You can't get this type of flower in your grocery stores. I'm not telling anybody where they are. If you've ever followed her on social media, you'll get to see them there. But it's kind of my little secret. So I do this a couple times a year, and she loves it. They're beautiful. They last for about 2 to 3 weeks. I think maybe because I am picking and cutting them myself. So she loves those. But I know that she wants flowers. I know that's something that she really enjoys. So she goes to Trader Joe's and she buys them. I don't think that that's super significant. I don't think that, guys going and just getting flowers just because you're asked to go get them is, a make or break thing. In other words, I think that really what women are doing when they say they want flowers, or even if they're not saying this, what the flower represents. It's what the flower or the request represents, which is, when we're not together, can you prove to me that you're thinking about me? That's really what it is. And if you want to go back to the origins of the flower being picked and presented, like we can go back to the hunter-gatherer times. I am a huge fan of origin stories. And you want to talk about an amazing origin story? Let's go to the flower picking. Men would often go on hunting, gathering expeditions with men warring, whatever it is. They'd be gone for days, sometimes weeks. And when the men returned, if the men returned at all, bringing a flower after being out in the wilds, after being in places that were dangerous, that something wanted to eat you, and you picked a flower because it made you think of someone who's special back at camp or town or whatever, symbolized that even in the midst of the shit, you're still thinking of that someone that's special. And you get that flower and you bring it back, and sometimes, actually a lot of the times, back in those days, women weren't really able to just go out and explore. It was just too dangerous, whether that's animals, whether that's warring tribes, just horrible human beings just out and about. I mean, and we're talking like really, really harsh wilderness. Women weren't really able to go travel, so men would bring back some of the most beautiful things that they saw because those things made them think of their partner. That's what it was. And today, we don't have to fight off saber-tooth tigers or anything like that, but men being out and about in their busy days, going to work, getting in their routine, stopping for a moment to get something, or just the fact that your partner comes into your mind, whether it's your wife or girlfriend, enters your mind during all this chaos, during all the stress that the world is throwing at you, taking a moment to think about, consider, invest in the thought that your partner is there with you means so much. And no, it doesn't have to be fresh cut flowers. It doesn't have to be something expensive. It can seriously just be a flower. It's the thought that counts. It really is. So the guys out there who are really struggling with this flower idea is like, yes, she can go buy her own flowers. Hands down, she can go buy them. Of course. Especially today, women have their own money. They can go buy as many bouquets of flowers as they really want. But it's what the flower represents. It's that their partner is out there thinking about them at all times. It's something that's really special. And, with how many distractions and how many things we have going on in our life, I think today's day and age, doing it now, I think it means even more than it did when we had few distractions, like, up until like 20 years ago when there were just not that many distractions. So guys who are complaining about the flowers, get them. Just find some way of showing your partner that you're thinking about them. And no, it doesn't have to be flowers. A lot of women said, hey, I don't want flowers because flowers die. And they do. Flowers do die, which is a big reason that I don't like getting them. And, I like getting food. I like getting plants. I like getting something that's going to last for a while, something that's got a little bit of staying power. Just little things, little something through the day, through the week, whatever it is, that show that, hey, even though we're in the motions of life, even though we're busy, things are hectic, you are still with me. You are still at the forefront of my mind. No matter what it is that I'm doing, I am thinking of you. I'm considering you. You are what I think about. And even if I'm in a meeting, even if I'm in a ditch, it doesn't matter. You are what I'm thinking about. And that is what women want to make sure, is that you are thinking about them, that they are being considered, that, the impact that they're having, the investments that they're putting into your life is making an impact to where when you two are not together, they are still being thought of. And I think that's beautiful. Oh, and then of course my wife joins onto the Instagram Live. Well, babe, I hope you just got to hear all of that. The other thing I wanted to talk about kind of piggybacks off of thinking about your partner when you're not around them. And that's, women and men in relationships. If you're giving all the time, say a guy is always giving flowers, and he's not getting something in return that is showing that same level of consideration, no matter how sincere, how genuine the thought and the gesture is to give flowers or whatever that thing is, if that's not being reciprocated, if that energy is not being reinvested back into you, no matter how much somebody cares for you, resentment is going to pop up. I know a lot of people have certain levels of expectations, thinking that when they enter a relationship that they are owed certain levels of acts of chivalry or behavior just because you are who you are. But I'm going to say this, if you are not willing to give back in equal or greater amounts, that person who is investing, who is doing those things consistently, is going to get burnt out. And that is one of the fastest ways to have resentment towards your partner. Like I said earlier, I know a lot of guys get really focused on work and their mission, which is fantastic. Men, you do need to be focused on these things. And why flowers is so important in showing that you're thinking about them, that the things that you're woman is doing for you is noticed, is appreciated, is it's special and it's important. It's those types of things that if she is doing a lot of stuff for you, whether that's, the home things, your laundry, cooking, cleaning, whatever that is, taking care of your kids, those small gestures of sincere consideration keep that resentment monster at bay. Because that guy right there, he is waiting for you to take it for granted, to take the levels of investment, those acts of kindness, if you will, ready for you to take all of that for granted, just waiting for you. So flowers, giving flowers, or food, or just doing things that can help out around the house to make your partner's life super easy or just considered. It's very, very, very important. Now, I live right next to the fire department, so you guys might hear the fire truck because I think someone's burning their house down. It's not me, though. It's not me. I'm not cooking anything. Boiled a little bit of tea, but that was about. And yeah, that's my Scorpio mug. If anybody wants to know where I get the audacity, there it is. I am going to be putting these nighttime teas onto YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you definitely should subscribe. I really appreciate that. Smash that like button as well. If you have any comments about how to make your partner feel considered and important that's not giving flowers, put that in the comments as well. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was spoken and unspoken expectations. So we talked about that resentment and how quickly that resentment monster is just waiting for you to take for granted the people that are in your life. You have to understand this. The things that you want in a relationship, if you're that woman that wants flowers, who I was speaking about earlier, if you're that woman and you are wanting flowers, saying it once or twice isn't quite going to get it if it's truly important. Also, understand that if you get upset and you aren't speaking what your expectations are from the get-go, then it's going to be very, very hard for somebody to take your needs seriously. Because if you didn't say that very early on, and this woman, she said she had been with her partner for 5 years, married for 2, and just somewhat recently said that flowers were really important to her. It's like I'm kind of on his side in a way that, like, if the flowers are really important to you, why haven't you said anything since? Why is this the first time I'm hearing about it? If you need something, if you want something, you need to say it confidently and consistently. If you are just thinking that because you two are together that you are going to be getting a certain level of treatment, you are sadly mistaken and setting yourself up for a really bad time. So that is the difference in spoken and unspoken expectations. If you have somebody else in your life, a friend that's receiving a certain type of treatment and you're not, it might be because he has been super consistent in expressing what their needs and expectations are. You have to be consistent. And one of the worst things that you can do early on in the relationship is not be consistent or being silent because you don't want to voice your expectations for fear that in doing so, you're going to push somebody away. If you are afraid that the things that you need in a relationship, by you stating them, is going to ruin that relationship, you need one of two things. One, that relationship doesn't need to exist. Two, you need to practice the way in which you express your needs. So many people are so afraid of expressing what they need in a relationship because they just don't know how. They've never practiced expressing elegantly, beautifully the things that they need in a relationship. They are so afraid to say what it is that they want and they need that they let things go. They let things die inside them. They build up that resentment, and that resentment is really them being frustrated at themselves for not speaking up earlier. And then by the time that you do, you're super angry. You don't come across kind, sweet, loving. It's more of a chore. It's not something that somebody wants to do at that point, because you bring it up saying like, well, Jane's husband always gets her flowers. I don't know why you're not. Like, no one wants to buy you flowers if you're doing something like that. That's not how you get those things done. So you have to be consistent up front. You need to know how to express your feelings and your thoughts, the things that you need in your life, in your relationship. If you don't, you're not doing yourselves any favors. So yeah, hope you guys are loving and enjoying each other, your relationships, your dating. If you guys have any questions, comments, feel free to put them in the comment section below. If you have any topics that you'd like for me to cover, you can also send those to me. I probably get, in terms of anonymous advice requests, I'm probably getting 3 to 6 of those a day. So I do apologize if they're taking a little bit long. I do apologize if you have to wait a while to get yours put out. I've got some, I'm backed up probably a week with those, but people are really enjoying being able to post those, or me posting them on their behalf anonymously, 100% confidentially. I need to add that every single thing that you all are sending me is 100% confidential. I never share a single piece of your information with anybody. But I had someone today just tell me how thankful they were that there was an outlet where they can post this type of stuff and get solid advice from a supportive community that's not just about throw the whole man away type of mentality, because I think we know a lot about those type of jaded responses and how unhelpful they really are. So everybody that's been sending those anonymous advice requests, keep doing that. I enjoy the community and how powerful you guys are and how supportive you are. It's really helpful to a lot of people who are experiencing a lot of the same situations, like this example of the flowers, and she wasn't receiving flowers from her husband. It's exactly what these other followers and supporters in my community experience every single day. But also you get the other side. You get the male perspective, or you get the female perspective, whoever it is that, if you're a guy sending me stuff, needing advice, whatever it is, there are so many people who have gone through very similar experiences that are able to offer ways they've overcome it, a new way of thinking, a new way of looking at it, different perspectives. And by submitting these and engaging in these types of topics, you yourself are able to grow so much in becoming a better partner, either currently for your current relationship or for a future relationship, whatever it is. Like, this is the real homework that a lot of people avoid. And just having this type of community allows so much positive interaction and conversation to happen, to allow for that genuine organic growth. So I love this community. You guys are freaking awesome. Keep sending me those. I really do appreciate that. And again, if you guys have any topics that you want me to cover, or any more anonymous advice suggestions, just send those to me, and I'll get to posting those. So, all right, guys, thanks so much for joining me on Nighttime Tea. If you are watching this on YouTube, again, hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll be posting these once a week. See you guys later. Bye.